Hello and welcome to the explanation of the new Solocontutti version 3. My name's Neil. I'm going to guide you through all the things that have changed. There's quite a lot of them, so video will take a little while. The first thing that's changed is quite obviously the look and feel is completely different. The controls are different, the colours are different, everything's changed, which I hope gives it a more professional and pleasant aspect. Now this is the dark theme. The first thing to see is we have several choices for themes. We've got dark, we've got light, and we've got a high contrast for people who need a bit more contrast. And as well as that, we've got a few of the old silly ones. Steel, we've got wood and grunge. I'm going to go back to dark because that's the one that I like most. Now if we look at the screen, firstly we're looking at the free version. You can see this up here. This is the free version because, as you may have read, there are now 3 versions. There's a free version, there are 2 paid versions, a standard and a pro. I'll be getting onto the differences in a minute. This is the most basic version. You can do most things that you need to do. You can join a session, you can participate, you can play. You've got quite a few settings you can control, but there's quite a few things you can't do in this version. What you also see here is a limited set of controls. So the first thing to see is when we go to the view, we can also have an advanced view. This reveals some more controls, and as you get up in the tiers, it will reveal all the controls. Please remember that when you actually upgrade, you won't see all of the new controls unless you're in advanced mode. The idea of this is for starters, just to keep it as simple as possible, and when you know more about the app, you can add new functions and add new possibilities. So now we're looking at the advanced mode of the free version, and I'd just like to guide you around a few of the changes. The first thing you'll notice is that there's no start button. That's because you can only start a session with a paid version of the app. That means, effectively, that in every session at least one person has to have the paid version of the app. The other thing you see is some buttons missing here. Record. You can't record in the free version. And video. You can't start a video session in the free version. However, you can receive a video session in the free version, which means that if a teacher has a pro version and starts a video session, the students can actually participate in the video even if they only have the free version of the app. And this is actually designed to allow teachers to work with students who may not be able to afford to pay for the paid versions of the app. If we look at the controls, aside from the way it looks, nothing much has changed until we get to the reverb control. That's been added if you want to add a bit of reverb to your input. And the next thing is boost is still here, but we see this little arrow. This replaces the setting for the boost level, so you can click on the arrow and you can, you can click on the arrow and you can choose the boost level you want to apply. So for example, I'm doing a 20 decibel boost, and I'll hit the boost button, and now you see we've got a lot more energy coming in there, and I'll turn the boost off. Whereas if I just put the boost on 8 decibels, it's a lot less of a boost. Anyway, I'm going to turn the boost off. That's boost. And that really is the main difference for the free version of the app. If we look at the menu, we've got main menu, that's unchanged, except we also have an upgrade option, which allows you to upgrade to a higher tier, and then this is an in-app purchase which will be applied. The view menu has an additional option that's next tip. Now let's just show you what happens when you start up. The first time you start, you'll find a tip of the day, which will explain some part of the interface of Solocontutti. Every time you start up, you'll see another one. You can turn this off in the help if you really don't want to. What you can also do is you can look at a tip of the day either by going next tip in the view menu, or alternatively Alt-T or Control-T, depending on your system, which will allow you to just cycle through all the tips. Now, so that's tip of the day. The other thing you can do is if you want to know something about a particular item, let's say I want to know something about the pan, you just do Control-Click and it will give you a tip on that particular device. And sometimes there's more than one. So that's the tip of the day. Moving on, we have tools. This replaces the previous advanced menu, and these contain the same set of tools as we used to have in the advanced menu. And finally, the help menu is more or less unchanged except for the option to show tips. And please remember, not everybody uses this. When you have a problem, you can click on report problem, and this will send us a lot of diagnostic information so we can help try and sort out your problem. That's about all we need to know for the changes for the free version of the app. So let's do on upgrade and see what it's like for the paid version. So this is the upgrade menu. We see all the possibilities, and I'm going to do a monthly standard. These are auto-renewing, but of course you can always cancel them on a monthly basis. So here we go. We'll apply that, and we're into the Apple Mac Store, because I'm showing this demo on Apple. Obviously the Microsoft Store is similar, and we're about to upgrade. See the purchase has been made, so we'll click on OK, and what you also see is that the purchase is immediately applied, so you can go right ahead. And immediately you'll see a couple of controls have been added. This is the backing track. Now we have the backing track now in the menu, so you can start a backing track either through the menu, or if you prefer, you can start it here. So I'm going to start a backing track, and this is another change that's happened because now the backing track appears as another input control on your menu. Just play a bit of music, and I better stop that because of copyright hits. So that's the backing track, and of course the normal controls for the backing track apply. By the way, when you restart the same old one, and when you stop it will remove itself from the list of sliders. The other change is that we have a FX plugin button. This used to be applied to the outputs, but to be frank, there's not really much logic in that, whereas there is some logic in applying it to the inputs, so we moved it to the inputs. And the effects on the standard version are the 4 built-in effects. So we can have a chorus, and let's look at the chorus. Then we get this chorus has been applied, it's on, and we can change the settings and whatever we like, and that's a standard chorus filter, and of course we can turn it on and off as we desire. And you'll notice that when you turn all the effects off, then the effects button is unlit, and when you turn them on, they are lit. And in fact, and I can show you this, if I have 2 effects and only one of them is on, it's still lit, and if I turn them all off. So that's as you'd expect. Now I'm going to get rid of these because it's going to confuse me. So, whoops, there you are, I've removed them. So that's one thing that's happened, and of course the other thing that's happened is we've got the start button. So this is the normal start button as we have had it in the past. I'm not connected to internet at the moment, so that was an error. And we also have the record button, so now you can record, and you have 2 recording modes. But instead of setting the recording mode in a separate sheet, we can click on this arrow and choose a recording mode, and then click on the recording button, and we'll record as normal. And further, that is basically what standard mode offers, a couple of extra functions, and the ability to start a session. So now we'll upgrade to Pro mode to show you all the extra functions you can get in Pro mode. So here we go again. Go to upgrade to the monthly Pro mode. In Pro mode, you'll see a few more things have appeared. The first thing you'll notice is we have another set of functions in the effects. So now we can scan for plugins, and this will scan for plugins, any plugins on your system. So let's just do that. Takes a while, and we're done. So now when we go to the effects, we have a whole set of extra plugins. So let's choose, for example, an Apple graphic equalizer, and let's see what we can do with that. Well, obviously quite a lot, and of course any plugins you have available on your system will actually work. I'll get rid of this. Interestingly, this means that you can add digital instrument plugins as well if you want. So here's the Piano Tech from Mod Art, and now I'm going to and you can do it that way. I'll get rid of that as well. And the other thing is the private button. What's the private button? The private button allows you to have an input channel which you can hear, but if you click private, that means it's not transmitted to other people. So you may want a click track or some other sort of track which you want to have as an input, and this will make it private. The other thing that we have is the ability to make a video, and I'm going to cover up the video camera because you don't need to see my ugly face. And we are now in video mode. That works, and we have an exit button. The reason we have an exit button is because if you're playing with people who don't have the Pro mode, they won't have a video button, so they need to have some way of exiting the video if they want to, for privacy reasons. The other thing you'll see is that in the recording options, there's a third recording option. That's record raw inputs multi-channel. What that means is every single input you have will be recorded at the recording quality. So for example, if it's 48 kilohertz, 16 bits, it will record at that quality. And it will record in a separate track. So if you have 10 inputs, that'll be 10 track recording, which you can mix later. By the way, a stereo input will still be recorded as 2 separate tracks. So it gives more options if you want to do a sort of mastering session afterwards. The other thing that we have, of course, is the Solocontutti plugin, which allows you to link to DAWs and other things. So let's now move on to one of the main differences, and that's the way that input channels are selected. We'll go to Preferences and Sound Settings. Here we see a completely different way of choosing channels. That used to be a main channel and an auxiliary channel, which were either stereo or not stereo. That's rather cumbersome, particularly for people with more input channels. So now we have a system where you can select each channel individually. So let's go to a device with lots of channels so we can show this. So here's a device with 64 channels, and I've got some inputs coming in from outside, so let's just select a whole load of channels. I think I've got 10 set up in total. Do I have 11? No. Oh, there's something at the 11th channel, probably not the 12th then. There you go. Oh, 12 is there as well. Okay, it's 12 channels I've got set up. Right, let's look what this looks like. So the first thing you see is it doesn't fit on the screen, so you can scroll back and forth. The second thing you see is that, let's just see what this sounds like. So getting all those inputs. The second thing you see is we have these pairs. Now the idea is that if some of these are stereo inputs, you can pair them into stereo. So for example, let's say this is a microphone, we don't want to pair it, it's a single input. Let's say these two are stereo inputs from an electric piano. So we compare them, and then we get one set of channel controls for the paired devices. Now these are all mono, maybe this is stereo, and maybe this is stereo. And of course, once you've paired something, so you get paired controls, individual controls, and the settings are saved that way. And of course, if you think actually this is mono, you can split them again. So that's a really major difference in the way that you can actually deal with the various channels. So I'm going to go back to my simple setup without all of these inputs, and that is basically that. Those are the changes in this version. So version 3 will be out soon, and I hope that you all enjoy it, and please let us know if there's things you don't like or would like improved or don't work as well as they should. Thank you, and bye-bye.